Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the Math Users Math Expressions Mini Summit here in February. Good morning to you all. I'm an elementary principal in Southwest Wisconsin, former high school math teacher for 15 years, very passionate about mathematics. Have been an elementary principal for 5.5 years. We have some great things going on here in our school, and I'm hoping in this seemingly very brief time to give you some ideas of ways that you could look, especially this time of year, to look to improve things at your school. And kudos to you for being here today. It obviously shows you're a very engaged educator looking to make things better at your school. So good for you. I'm going to share a screen here. Again, I'm going to go real quickly through this with the limited amount of time. So excuse me for that. But feel over here on the right side, you can contact me after this presentation if you have any questions or anything at all. You got my email there. I'll be happy to help you out. Also, just a quick note that over the last spring and summer, my brother-in-law and I wrote a book called The Foundation Worth Building. It's got a lot of stuff I'm going to talk about here in this presentation in it, just with regards to literacy. So as passionate as I am about mathematics, over the past several years, I've grown just as passionate about a very important topic of literacy. So our presentation today is on people, structures, and systems that redefine education. Like I said, I'm going to go really quick through this. I already introduced myself enough. You can read that for some more details. Not here to brag about our school, but just going to show you that we are legit. When we look at our Ford exam, this one here would have been prior to me being a principal here, and you look at our proficiency rate. And then the last 2 years prior to last school year, you can see the increase in that. And then just last year, we were up to 74% proficient or advanced, which is exciting. We've got some lofty goals and a very strong, humble, and hungry team, and it's just great to see the growth. One thing we always keep an eye on too is the number of advanced kids, which you'll see has not gradually, very rapidly gained to 46 in 2022, and last year we're up to 59, which is about 30% of our student population in grades 3 through 5. So definitely a high focus of ours. We use FastBridge. We feel a very good screener assessment. You'll see some longitudinal data here over the past 4 school years for the winter benchmark, and we just literally the last school day we had completed our A math, and very exciting about the data that came through. It's raw data at this point, as we still have some kids to wrap up with that, and maybe some that need to retake it. But we got some great things going on, and it's because of the strong team we have here at Winskill Elementary School in Southwest Wisconsin. We're a rural district, folks. Just to give you a little synopsis of our school, we're about 40. We hover anywhere between 40 to 50% free and reduced, so we definitely have some poverty. Not a lot of diversity, but our at-risk culture is definitely poverty and kids with some lagging skills that are in special education. So I'm going to keep moving here, folks. I'm already 3.5 minutes in, but the main synopsis of my presentation here today is people, structures, and systems. And I use this all the time with my staff because it's how I think, and it's how we've gotten to the point where we are right now as a school. Is you have to have the people, structures, and systems set up and in place. But most importantly, folks, your culture of your school is of the utmost importance. And in our quote, I got this from John Gordon, but culture first always just has to be right there. As you look at things in your school and what you're looking to move forward, that always has to be in your vision. And the culture is just the beliefs and values and attitudes you hold as a school and every one of your team members. It takes a lot of time to build up to a very solid place. Hopefully your school is in a great place there. And then, of course, if you have a strong culture, that contributes to establishing and sustaining a positive climate in your school. It's just the feel of the school and how things, if people were to walk into your school, how they would feel good and just happy to be there, just get that strong climate. And obviously this is a place where we all want to work in. But when your culture climate is in a great place, your teachers are going to be thriving. Everybody in the building is going to be thriving, reaching maximum potential, and therefore your kids are going to be thriving and reaching their highest levels of learning possible. So that in anything that we do, and anytime I talk about improving mathematical achievement or literacy achievement, as you'll see in my book, if you pick it up, it's got to start here. So what can you do this time of year with regards to culture climate? Well, if you're admin, make sure you and other admin have this as your number one priority. If you're not, let's talk to your administration team, because it has to be led by the leaders in your school, and make this a number one priority, and understand why. And that's going to take a long time if it's not in a good place, but it's got to be number one. And if it's in a good place, just keep it there, nurture it always. Don't ever lose focus on it. If it's not in a good place, I'm sorry. That's unfortunate. But it's got to be moved to number one priority, not next year of what can we change mathematically or with regards to literacy. It's got to be, we got to get our culture in a great place first, because if we don't have that there, then all of those systems and structure changes that we want to make aren't going to be successful. And I hate to tell you that, but you think that, and it's just got to be something that's got to be moved to number one. And people is, when I talk about people, structure, and system, people is number one. This visual I have on here, just, it's about all three, but people's first, in the utmost importance, much bigger than structures and systems. And your culture climate is right in that, because you'll keep good people with a strong culture climate. But of course, this is this time of year. What can you do about that this time of year? Well, this is the hiring season, so admin's got to be, this is one of their most important jobs. Looking to hire great people, attracting and retaining great people. And, unfortunately, sometimes there are people on teams out there that are weak, and it's not you guys, because you're engaged in this presentation here. Good for you. But, if we have weak members on our team, we got to try to build them up. And unfortunately, sometimes we have negative people on our team that bring others down. And those are the people that we have to really weed the negativity and weed them off of our team somehow, some way. And that's a tough thing, but we got to have those great people in place. So the hiring season, if you get an opportunity to hire, make sure they're great people. And I know that's hard to get sometimes, but be patient. It's what it takes. So we get into, and it's such a quick presentation here, but the culture first, people, big time, most important. Can't stress that enough. But we got to keep moving on to structures and systems. So I talk about structures, guys. These are things like the master schedule and how you operate in your day. The master schedule is something that is so important, and it has to be, like I have control of the master schedule as the lone principal in the school. And my teachers appreciate that. They know how much I care about it, but it can't be like in control of teachers at different grade levels, because it doesn't work that way. It's got to be structured and systematic. So admin, you got to take it over, and teachers will be happy that you do it, and as long as you put the right structures in place. Okay, so I have an example of our schedule there. It's kind of complicated. So again, I can't go through the details of it. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, because I'd be happy to help. But it's got all the time. It's got to be very specific at what time we start and what time we end, and when we go to specials, when we go to lunch and all that, of course, but we got to have the time in there. And I know things are, change a little bit. Things come up where we can't always start on a specific minute. But we have to try. We have to make sure we tend to those minutes the best that we can. And when you're talking about mathematical instruction, you got to put in there 10 minutes in grades K through 2 for those math daily routines. Got to be in the schedule. You'll see it right there. Math daily routine. Put it there. Teachers will see it. They know it's an expectation. And you got to focus too, 60 minutes in grades K through 5. Now, when you look at my example, you'll see it backed off just a touch in K1. And that's because we're in such a great place, 4K involved in that too. I feel like we can give a little bit there to include a little more literacy instruction, because that has been more of a focus of ours here, especially the past 3 years, and things are improving with that as well. But you got to get that time in there, and you'll see it in all the other grade levels, in some cases even more than that. So you got to have the time in there. Another thing that, these are things you can do now. Start looking at master schedule for next school year. Another thing that you can do now is consider departmentalization in grades 3 through 5 or whatever works for your school. I know it works for my school, our school here, but what these ideas might give you some ideas of what you could do in your school. I would highly recommend at least considering a departmentalization, meaning in 4th and 5th grade, for instance, we have a literacy teacher, a social studies science teacher, and a math teacher, and they rotate the 3 homerooms in 60-minute chunks of time. And it works great. When we did it, there was a little hesitation about relationships, but every hesitation, it's been much more worth it that we have gone in this direction. And we were creative with how we did it in 3rd grade as well. And that's been even more successful. And honestly, I'm just considering bringing it up to our 2nd grade teachers for next year as a thought, because it's such a beautiful thing. And honestly, guys, teachers love it, because they can focus on one thing, one subject area, their passion, hopefully. And it really reduces teacher stress load and workload, which we all like to attend to when we talked about attracting and retaining staff. You'll see in the 4th and 5th grade schedule in the master, a creative way for win times or 30-minute I would say afternoon times for enrichments, interventions, things like that. And we did some creative things that get some literacy minutes in there. It's all kind of complex, and I'm happy to help anybody that has any questions. But on top of that 60-minute time for tier 1, we got to include 30 minutes or try as hard as you can for 30 minutes of intervention and enrichment time. It's crucial. You got to have that in there. I can't stress that enough, either for the enrichment side of things. You saw our data, but also for the intervention side of things. What we do at grades, especially K1, 2, and even 3rd, and then 4th and 5th is a little different, but focusing on K1, 2, we share kids with our 5 different teachers. We can include our special education teacher in that. So we'll share kids across the board, and that jumps into kind of an MTSS thing that hopefully I'll be able to get to at the end of this presentation. So that's all things you can tend to and look at right now. This time of year is perfect for that. What are some of those structures that we could possibly tweak going into next school year? Then it becomes the systems. When you look at the systems, or what are the things we use and do within our structure. And of course, you got your tools. Math Expressions is a great resource. I'm a math guy, and as soon as I came down here, I just hooked on it right away as a resource. Okay, we don't have to do exactly what our resource tells us to do. Our teachers got to have autonomy. We don't even use our workbooks in grades 2 through 5 anymore, but we do use the structured math daily routines, things like that Math Expressions does a great job for. And the tools for enrichment, that's something we're continuing to work on and building up a library, and haven't found anything great out there as a resource. So if anybody has any great things they do for enrichments, please let us know. I mean, we've had success because we push kids and have high expectations, but we're always looking to get better. And another system you're all familiar with regards to Math Expressions is student discourse. We try to set a goal of our teachers at 60% of the math instruction is student discourse. It's a lofty goal, but it's one that if we set high goals with that, even if you get to 40% or 35, it's pretty good. That's one of the things that I'll kind of give teachers feedback if I'm doing any observations. Another tool that's been great for us, the system, is a Math Genius Squad. We've used that the last couple of years. When I met Shannon through Zoom with one of our teacher leaders here, showing her great data, but I'm like, we want to get better. And guess what we have? And Math Genius Squad has been a key component to that, because as good as our teachers are, being able to watch her videos, use her slides, it's saved teacher workload and it's enhanced their instruction. So thank you, Shannon, for that. We are so grateful. And the last system that I'll talk about is MTSS. Got to have that in place, right? Literacy and mathematics down here at this level for sure. It's been a haul, but I feel like we've gotten to a good place with that. We have a math interventionist, and in our MTSS structure, got this example of a MTSS document that I'll share with you. And this is like in 2nd grade. So what we have is we have different groups. So you see teacher 1 and 2, those are kind of our enrichment groups, especially teacher 1, but also teacher 2. When you have the data as it looks like we have currently, you're going to have at least 2 extension groups. And even these teacher 3 and 4 groups they're not doing interventions. They're doing enrichment, enhancing. Maybe sometimes it's a little bit of a double dose, but you kind of looking left to right as your top kids down, moving down. And you can see the data sheet, the data that's on the document, with all the names gone, of course. But then you have, and this should say teacher 5 there, but then you have a group that's like a tier 2 intervention, where this is a group that's going to be smaller, that's going to be with the grade level teacher that is able to do some tier 2 interventions. Then here is our tier 3, and we do use bridges. We started that last year for tier 3. We like it. And so this group here is in that 30-minute time frame of when intervention she's involved here. And that's been working really well with us. Our high risk data is extremely low, which is awesome. So that is, guys, a lot of information in a short period of time, right? But it's a mini summit, and I did a longer presentation this past summer with regards to this. I kind of stole a lot of the information from there and tried to condense it down. Always willing to help and serve others. So it's my purpose. So, like, if you have questions on any of that stuff, I told you earlier, you can reach out via email, and Shannon can hook you up with me as well. But yeah, I actually got that done quicker than I thought, and I hope that you guys took some good things from that. I know that again, it was a lot of information in a short period of time. But I'll finish off by saying, again, kudos to all of you guys for tuning into this. It shows how engaged you are, fully engaged you are as an educator, and our kids in America need more people like you, leading, whether you're teaching directly or leading other teachers. Be that strong leader in your school. You can make a difference. You are every day. But just, even outside of your classroom, if you're a grade level teacher, the other teachers around you, go to your admin, you can influence others, because when I was teaching high school mathematics, I loved it. I had never thought I'd leave it. And I really didn't want to, honestly, but I just felt compelled to, because I just had an impact on a small population of students, and I felt I could do more for a broader population by leading. And you're a leader. By doing this, it shows you're a leader. So just grow as a leader yourself, wherever you're at. Continue to grow, because you'll be making more of an impact on others, and good for you. All right. Hope that was helpful. Take care, guys.